February 19th meeting of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission to order. We have 3 members present and several guests, and our staff. So we got everything else? Nobody? All right, we're ready to go. We're going to begin with a presentation from the Richland Bean Blossom Community School Corporation, their STEM program, which we are a contributing sponsor for. So I will turn it over to you. And you are?
I am Mandy Henry, and
Okay.
I am a STEAM coach at RBB and also the district STEAM coordinator.
Okay.
And Dr. Sanders is here with us also.
Okay.
I'm the superintendent. We have back here Jamie Miller, our district readiness coordinator, and John Kerr, who's also one of our STEAM coaches. Before we get started, I just want to say we make many presentations to different organizations, but I have to say one of our favorite places to present is to the Redevelopment Commission. And the reason I say that is because you all of you make us feel so supported, and we can see the interest in your questions and how you listen, and we just appreciate that, and it gives us a lot of good feelings to move forward. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share how RBB is utilizing the RDC funds to create a culture of innovative teaching and learning. Mandy Henry is going to give you an update on what we've been doing this school year in terms of STEM. Jamie Miller will be presenting on our Ready Schools initiative, and we hope that after the presentation that you can see how RBB has been able to grow STEAM into so much more. We hope that you will be able to see how STEAM has expanded and grown into project-based learning, robotics, and the Ready Schools initiative. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mandy.
All right. So since it's the beginning of a new year, we thought we could just recap 2019. And if you look at page 2 of your handout, this is just the expenditure breakdown from 2019. And this is from the funding that you have supported us with during 2019. And you can tell that the majority of the funding is used on those coaches that we have district-wide, and they have been an integral part of growing and expanding and improving our teaching practices and really changing the way that our students are applying their learning. And then you can also see on the next page that we definitely value your contribution and we use it fully, but we also have other supports in place and funding in place through our own corporation investment, our planning grant through ROI, which Jamie will talk about more, and then other grants that we've secured through the Department of Education and other entities. And so far in 2020, funding that we have received and anticipate receiving is, again, your contribution from the RDC. We were awarded a STEM acceleration grant from the Department of Education, and we've also have been working with Project Lead the Way, which is a vetted STEM curriculum supplier of the curriculum and the training, and that provides pathways for our students in biomedical sciences, computer science, and engineering. So in 2019, we were able to do a district transformation training with PLTW for our K-5 teachers. We had 25 teachers become launches their K-5 program, launch classroom teachers, which means they're able to implement those STEM curriculum modules in engineering, biomedical science, and computer science in their classrooms. And with the digital learning grant also, we were able to integrate 16 new modules in those pathways for our K-5 students at the elementary level. We also completed construction of our new maker spaces, music rooms, and art rooms that connect our primary and intermediate building. And those have been amazing, and we invite you to come check them out. They're a great place to learn for our students and teachers. We also have started plans for a newly constructed makerspace at our junior high school. And then we were able to purchase more student devices to make us 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 across the district for technology integration for our students. So then, looking ahead and already getting started with 2020, we had 7 of our teachers in the K-5 attend PLTW's launched lead teacher training. So now we have in-house in our district teachers that can train other teachers to do this. So that is going to really help with our sustainability plan to make sure that this is just a way that we continue to teach and learn in our classrooms and opportunities that our students get. We also have, over the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years, worked with Magnify Learning for the PBL, the problem-based learning training, and we now also have certified trainers from our teachers and in our district with that to help sustain those efforts, that all of our teachers will be using instructional practices that promote authentic learning and connections to the community and STEM. And then also with our curriculum, we were awarded the STEM Acceleration Grant from the Department of Ed. And with that, we're going to be able to add 5 Project Lead the Way courses at the secondary level. So that's our junior high and our high school students are going to have additional course options in cybersecurity, in automation and robotics, in human body systems, biomedical sciences, and with that, adding those courses, we have pathways all the way from kindergarten to high school, where they will be able to experience all of those STEM fields and pathways and learning, obviously, the content in those areas, but if you're not familiar with Project Lead the Way, it's a lot of thinking and identifying problems and collaborating and all the skills that our students are going to need in the workforce, no matter where they end up going in their path. So those are some great opportunities for our students. Also, some goals that we have for 2020 for our innovative tools and spaces. The newly constructed maker spaces, we are ready to equip those with materials and like 3D printers and hand tools. It's been pretty amazing to see our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders building and using saws and hammers and making real things. They're not pretty, but they sure are learning a lot. And so being able to have more opportunities for them to have the hands-on practical skills of creating with tools. We also are going to, this year, begin construction on the junior high's maker space. That is a new construction. And we are commissioning local artists for murals in our buildings to add just that local connections and appreciation for art, but then also the art integrating what the learning culture is in our buildings. We also are working to secure funds to have virtual reality and augmented reality for all of our students. We've been able to have that through a grant at the primary level, and it's an instructional tool that's used often. Just today, John Kerr and I were able to let kids explore clouds. We went inside of a cloud and figured out how they were made. We've taken students to Antarctica, and they have career experiences that they can go and shadow, all within sitting in the hallway or in their classroom. And so being able to add that as some experiences for our students is something we're looking forward to doing in 2020. And also, we are working at the junior high on our application to become a STEM certified school through the Department of Education. Our primary and intermediate buildings already are, and so it is has been really great to be working with the junior high as they're developing their plan for that, and they plan to be applying for that in the fall.
I would like to invite you to come see the connector. It literally connects the primary school to the intermediate school, and the top floor are the music and art classrooms, to music, to art, and then downstairs would be the 2 makerspace labs. One of them is for Mandy, and that's the primary level. The other is John's room, and you can divide. You could have one big group, or you could pull down these. Basically, they're garage doors to divide them up into 2 makerspace labs, and there's also a robotics room in there. So it's pretty cool. I'd invite you to come out and look at it.
Did we call your office to set that up?
Yes. Yep. Just
Be happy
call.
to have them.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna let.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Can you give me some idea of the curriculum content for these younger kids that deal with these higher level concepts in biomedical engineering and that kind of stuff? Can you give me an idea how that might play out?
I can, because actually I was working with a kindergarten teacher today. She is doing a biomedical module with her kindergartners. So what that looks like is, it's so cute. They're wearing like goggles and lab coats, but they're also, they're learning about the structure and function of the human body. So they are talking, it's covering form and function, and how your bones are hard because of their form meets the function, and your muscles have a function, so they have a form to meet that. And so they have bodies where they're putting organs in the right spot, and then they have cardboard arms that they put together with rubber bands to model the muscles, and they're all connected to literacy. The units start with a story, and it's the same 3 characters from kindergarten all the way through, and the characters grow up, and so there's a story with a problem. And this story, one of the boys breaks his arm, and so they learn about x-rays and what doctors do, and things like that. They get to have hands-on experiences with how a stomach works. They put things in the stomach and see it contracting. It's just pretty awesome.
Where do you get these curriculums now?
So Project Lead the Way is a company.
Project Lead the Way that's doing it.
They're based
I
out
met
of
those guys
Indianapolis.
10 years ago.
Yep.
When they were first getting going, and they were really quite a group.
And they've released, I think John might know, like 30 or 40 new modules just at the summit they had a couple weeks ago. They announced that. So it's a a good curriculum. The Department of Ed supports them. So we're very happy to be able to be bringing that into our classrooms for our students.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'll let Jamie come up and talk about Ready Schools.
Hello,
Hello again.
how are you all? 6 months goes by really fast every time we come back to visit you all. But we do really look forward to it, and I can't reiterate our gratitude enough for your support. So if for anyone listening who isn't familiar, Ready Schools is one of the education initiatives from Regional Opportunities Initiative, ROI, a nonprofit that really focuses on education and workforce alignment, as well as a lot of quality of place initiatives. So that is one of their bigger education-related initiatives. And for us, it could not have come at a better time, the opportunity. We've been a part of this year-long almost a year-long planning grant. So by design, it really is a strategic planning process. A lot of technical support from ROI as far as the structures and the protocols to reflect and gather data from our stakeholders and think about our planning process as a district, and then going into an opportunity for implementation funding. So as part of that planning process, where the goal really is to engage in a really authentic way our business leaders, our community members, our families, and just gather as much information from those stakeholders to ensure that these initiatives that you all have been supporting us in scaling K-12, that we're doing so for a reason that's relevant to our community. We're not just doing it because STEM is a buzzword, or because everyone else is doing it, or because PLTW is originally an Indiana company. That's a perfect example where their curriculum isn't just rich in content and aligned to prevalent work sectors for the country, but they actually align really intentionally with the key industry sectors here in Southern Indiana. So each of those pathways are relevant to career opportunities that our kids are going to be able to learn about that are accessible to them here in Indiana. So the 6 core principles, just as a reminder of Ready Schools, really speak beyond STEM. They speak to just readiness for the workforce, readiness for post-secondary opportunities, whether it's military or college or career, just ensuring that ultimately every one of our graduates walks across the stage in May with a plan, and a plan that they feel like they have ownership of. So for us, Ready Schools has just been a really organic way for us to think about our STEAM initiative in a bigger way that ties in truly every facet of our content, of our instruction, of our curriculum, even of our community partnership and our outreach opportunities. So those 6 core principles are there for your reference, but really everyone just speaks to both the PK-12 alignment, but also the alignment with those community partners and entities beyond education. So if you flip then to page 7, just a quick snapshot of each phase of Ready Schools for you so you kind of understand what that process has looked like for us. Discovery was the first phase in the fall, where it was truly all about data gathering, data collection and information gathering, understanding our stakeholders, understanding our community and the needs and the wants and the hopes and the frustrations of our community as a whole. So you can see a little snapshot there of our advisory team. So we have a design team comprised of district members, district leaders that hopefully really convey a diverse group of thinkers, and I can't say enough about that group of people. They have gone above and beyond for a little surprise and delight, a coffee mug here or a lunch there. They have committed hours and hours of time to kind of walk alongside me in really crafting what this plan could look like for our district. We've had the opportunity to visit with industry partners. We've had the opportunity to visit other districts in our region. Here in the next couple weeks, we'll travel to Cincinnati and Chattanooga, to where we've found promising practices, promising strategies that really align with our goals, and we're going to visit with leaders there and learn from them. So this advisory team is a second layer, that second tier of support, where we comprise this group of people who really represent a diverse group of organizations, but also invested organizations, partners who, a lot of these people wear multiple hats as far as our group of support, whether they're parents or PTO members, but also employers or civic leaders, whatever it may be. This group has just been a tremendous support to vet ideas, to lend feedback. So that gives you a picture of how those 2 teams have kind of operated for the year. And we really honestly hope that that team will just continue to evolve right along with everything else of ours with Ready Schools, and continue to be a support and a sounding board that represents that community. So then when you switch to page 8, this is just, again, a snapshot of one of the deliverables from the Ready Schools ideation phase. So coming out of synthesis, when we drilled all this information down, you saw hundreds of surveys and hundreds of interviews with different community members. We have continued to refine that information down to 10 how might we questions. And these how might we questions are the driving questions that we now have set out to solve or to answer with this strategic plan. So from all of those needs that were communicated and all of those hopes that were communicated, These 5 questions are just half of that set of driving questions that we'll intend to address with our strategic plan that we craft here just in the next few weeks. So you can see a few more pictures there from some of our site visits where we've gotten to experience different elements of innovative schools and innovative spaces around the Midwest, from VR to there is a school in Kentucky that has a slide to get their high schoolers from their second floor down to their first floor. So just a lot of innovative ways to really engage students and ignite that excitement to be at school, the excitement to learn for the teachers as well. So those 5 questions there kind of cover everything from surface level needs, where we just need to put some more intentional practices in place as far as how we're communicating and how we're streamlining that communication so the information is consistent, to some of the bigger questions about culture and how we're building, strategies to ensure that we don't have a continued trend of teacher attrition, which is a big issue facing the whole state. What we can do to build up our teachers as leaders and ensure that they're going to remain engaged, but also remain passionate and excited about what they're doing. So things like PBL and STEAM for a lot of our teachers have really reignited an excitement to teach that hopefully then they're obviously conveying to our students. So when you flip then to the back page, page 9, one of the neat strategies there that I just want to make sure to point out, that photo on the back is a picture of a student from Lagodi who works for a student-run enterprise. So it's a machine shop housed inside Lagodi High School, and through, as an alumni district of Ready Schools, through a partnership with Lockmiller, a machine shop there in Lagodi, these students are getting paid while in school. So as part of their time in high school, they're learning a very relevant skill. I think 60% of their parent base in Lagodi works on base for Crane in some fashion. So those students are actually machining parts for a contract that Lockmiller has with the federal government, the DoD, for Crane. So they're learning those soft skills, but they're also contributing to the region. And to hear those kids talk about those experiences, this particular student is also in the cybersecurity course there, and just shared that he's a kiddo that would have had no aspiration really to go to college if not for these experiences. And now he has an idea of what he wants to do. And you'll find students that have an idea of what they want to do post-graduation in every school, but never is there a school where every single student leaves with a plan. And that's what we need. That's what we need to craft. So we have this foundation of exciting and relevant experiences for our students, and we have these pockets of greatness in every building, whether it's Project Lead the Way or project-based learning or internships. We have a baseline for what we know is right, and we know what we know is relevant for our students. But now we're putting strategies in place to figure out how to scale that so that every student, in every grade level is leaving with that experience. And then it's building from one building to the next so that there's not redundancy, and at every level students know why they're learning what they're learning. So again, I can't reiterate enough how much your support has meant to really serving as that catalyst to get this initiative moving and growing. And then Ready Schools has just been that framework for us to spend a year really intentionally planning for what's next. And we just continue to build that support base and engage, really inform, and then engage our community members about the value added that we want to contribute to the workforce in our community and our region by sustaining that base of ready students, ready workers, and just highly skilled workers for all of the sectors. So we hope that you all will see or have seen the value in that and continue to be excited about partnering with RBB. So what questions do you have?
How do you work on the soft skills? We hear a lot of times that the kids don't know how to get along. They don't know they got to show up every day, or if they don't, they got to call in and all that stuff. They got to pass a drug test. All that, I'm retired, and I used to have to hire and fire people. I've never ever had to fire anybody for not knowing the technical stuff. It was always because they couldn't get along, or they.
think that's the most consistent feedback or input that we've heard from anyone on the industry side. Any industry partner, any employer has reiterated that. And what that looks like in the classroom is obviously different based on the grade levels, but it's starting in the primary grades. It's starting with everything from, we have collaborative structures in the youngest grades where we are quite literally just teaching them how to get along in a group, how to communicate, how to be a leader, but also embrace other people's ideas and entertain other people's ideas. So it's obviously very structured in the elementary grade levels. And then as they go up, really, it's as broad as presentation skills, just giving kids opportunity. Dr. Sanders' Mustang moment is a perfect example where I wish we had a Mustang moment at every meeting where we could bring the kids in and let them share. They're easy for me to follow because I just say, this is why, this is what we need, because these kids are empowered to speak in front of you all in a way that I would have been terrified at their age to do, but not every student is that confident. So just ensuring that every student leaves with that skill set. We've heard that from everyone. They can teach the content. People want to teach the content their way, but that you can't teach those transferable skills. So.
And lately, we've been having conversations with about the STEAM coaches and how their roles are going to change somewhat with the Ready Schools. And I could see one of their new roles would be working with the teachers on how to integrate soft skills into the curriculum and to their activities. You know, one of the first schools we visited was in Wisconsin, and they had a student-run business, a machining business. And so the students participating, there was a business manager, there was a project manager, and each student was actually an employee of their student-run business. And they had responsibilities that they had to commit to. And they actually got paid at the end of the year, but there was a checklist, and if they didn't clean up their area, or if a business person came in and they didn't greet them appropriately, they might have lost a check. But the whole idea was to give them practical experience of utilizing those soft skills. And I'll never forget one of the students that we talked to. Like I said, this is a machining company, but he had no intention of going to machining. He wants to be a nurse. And he said the soft skills he's learning in that program, he will be able to apply in his own particular field, which would happen to be nursing. Something else that when Jamie was talking, I wanted to be sure to mention, when you visit these different school corporations, you learn what you want to do, what you don't want to do as part of your own program. And we walked away, at least I walked away with the mindset that we wanted to impact as many students as possible. We really wanted to end up with a plan that was going to have a true impact on our community, not just a raw idea that, you know, we could celebrate and a couple years from now, you know, nobody cares anymore. We want something that really, truly has an impact on our community. But probably the one corporation that I was impressed with the most was Lagodi, because it was very clear that they had a systemic approach. And you could see that their plan, you could see it in kindergarten, all the way up through the intermediate school to junior high and high school. You could see that systemic approach, and to me, that's really the measure of success. So,
I think that's the really great thing for us about Ready Schools is that we're not just going to walk away with a grant proposal for another funding source, which is wonderful, but we're going to walk away with a strategic plan. So one of the deliverables is that we create this plan that we really own and we really commit to implementing over the next 3 to 5 years. And that includes, you know, what the RDC is funding, that includes what ROI is funding, that includes our SEL initiatives where we're working on social and emotional learning. It all comes together because we're giving students these experiences to fail in a safe environment in whatever direction they're going. We can't create that plan for them But those experiences, like Dr. Sanders said, we have great experiences in every building happening, but aligning it across the district is what we haven't been able to do yet. We have a great foundation, and we're just so excited to show that united front.
So in the next few weeks, it's going to get a little more challenging because we're going to have to take all these great ideas and funnel them into a very specific plan. And our goal is to come back to you in late summer and share that implementation plan with you. And we, at that time, we hope to ask you to continue to be partners. We really, as we envision where we want to go with this over the next 3 to 5 years, your partnership is a critical part of that. And as I mentioned when we started tonight, I could already see in your questions and in your responses how supportive and interested you are. So we hope to be able to share that plan with you in probably August.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's
Any other
exciting.
questions?
It's amazing how far you guys have come. I'm very impressed.
Anytime I see something in the HT or the Journal, which gives you good coverage, because I do read that, I always have to kind of shout to somebody saying, see what they're doing. So glad to be able to fund some of that so you can continue working on that. Thank you.
And I think it's really great that you've got these business and other community leaders providing input.
That's so important. Well, we tried that before you and I were on the board and so on, and trying to get the community people to do that through the chamber, and the chamber is involved, I know, but you've really stepped up a step farther than they have in the past, and I'm glad to see it happening. So, well, Jim, if you go out there, I'd like to ride. Let me know when you go so we can go together.
I'll alert my secretary so we could set a date and time, and anybody who wants to come, certainly welcome to.
around.
Be great. Thank you.
Do you have any metrics indicating the differential impact of these STEM programs on your student body? I mean, you've got those people that have been involved in it, and you got those people that haven't been involved in it. If we're having some kind of positive impact, there may be differences in those two groups in some sense. Do you have any metrics that you keep that address that?
The tricky part with that data is at what point do you see the value added? You know, are you looking at our recent graduates and their employability or their maybe retention rate in a position? But before graduation, we are data rich, and sometimes we feel information poor. But we've amassed quite a lot of data, as much of the impact on our teachers as on our students. But any sort of like programming data and
Differences in attendance? Do you see differences in the course selection? Do you see
Right.
differences in the grade point averages they start to attain, and that kind of,
Differences in their parents'
yes.
responses to
the parent piece would be
Yes.
very intriguing. That's a really great point. But as far as tracking them from grade level to grade level, we could certainly curate the data, how to show some of that information. We have, like I said, we have a lot of data that we've tracked. We haven't necessarily synthesized it into any sort of specific report or another, but we would love
A little farther
to.
than anecdotal information.
Sure.
See if
We
we
could
can
absolutely share that
find some-
information with you. Yeah,
information like that would
yeah,
help to
absolutely.
make the case.
We have just started working with IU, Kelly Paul from IU, and she is helping us develop vetted surveys, interest surveys, career interest surveys, STEM interest surveys for parents and students, and we will start implementing those in the spring. And we will be giving, we'll have student surveys twice a year, parent surveys once a year, that I think will be able to give us some of those metrics that you were talking about. And that way we can use those metrics then to inform our plans moving forward.
Yep, okay, good.
Part of the things too is that we're doing this corporation-wide, systemic-wide, so we're not saying, okay, we're not going to, we're not keeping a control group out of it.
Right.
So to track that any differences, so we're using it as a systemic approach across the entire corporation. So it's kind of hard to say, well, yeah, this group of students were exposed is here, the group that wasn't is at a different spot, because we're exposing them all. So that does make it difficult, but it sounds like they got some ways.
Participation differences, and I mean, particularly early on in this process. Certainly where you're trying to go with this Ready Schools is to make it uniform throughout the entire system, but you're not there yet. So I'm trying to make sure I understand the value of it when you get there by looking at the impact it's had as it develops.
Another down the road that I think we'll be able to track and measure is we're developing the graduate profile of exactly what does a Edgewood High School graduate look like. And then we're going to take that graduate profile and break it down at each grade level. So, what does that look like for first graders, for fifth graders? And so I think down the road, once we develop this graduate profile, that would be an excellent way to gather some data.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest trick to all of this is the longevity of it, continuum over the long haul, because you have these youngsters in grade school doing all this wonderful stuff. Can you continue that impact over the years, but how about the next youngsters coming up the pike? Because you don't want to leave them out, because they're going to need just as much as the children have been through it. And that's what I often find is missing, is that we often do these great things, and then the children coming along the way, for somehow there was no funding for that particular thing or whatever, but we need to figure out how we can sustain these programs in some way so that we can make sure that children that come after the children you have now, or the future graduates, that they have that same opportunity, because that is really important.
That's a really good point. That's precisely why we're trying to pour as much of our energy and efforts into our teachers, and to ensure that we maintain those trained teachers that can be those trainers who train others, so that we have new teacher onboarding, but we also have opportunities for teacher leadership for some of our more veteran teachers. So similar pathways to what we're trying to craft for our students.
Great, thank you very much.
Again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay. Jeff, you want to lead us through these annual report contracts? There are 4 of them, is that correct?
Yes, there are 4 annual report contracts. I'll give one is for the Curry Profile allocation area, one is for the State Road 46 allocation area, one is for the West Side Economic Development area, and the 4th is for the Fulton Pike allocation area. Each of these contracts, they're similar. They're similar in a lot of ways to what we approved last year, in that they're the same do not exceed amount. They're for the same 4 areas. There is one difference, and that is the hourly rates have increased for the staff and for the consultant. But again, the not to exceed amount has remained unchanged, and at least for the Fulton Pike and the North Park, or State Road 46 corridor, they remain unchanged. I looked at 2014s today, so they're the same not to exceed amount as what we had in 2014. So they're, from a cost perspective, they are the same not to exceed amount. And again, these are for our annual reports, which we are required to have reviewed and submitted to the county council by April 1st, and they have to be placed in the gateway by April 15th. And so I'm hoping for an approval tonight.
Do you need to do it one at a time, or all?
I think you can vote for them all at once.
Well, then I make a motion, we approve them, all 4 of them.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the 4 service contracts for FSG for the coming year. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I have one question, which we should have discussed before. What's the total of all of them together? You know, did you figure that out?
10,
1,500, 770.
I think for public purposes, we should at least acknowledge
13,
it.
2. That sound right?
13,200.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. Somebody's gonna ask. I don't know. Now I can answer it.
This requires a signature. You want to wait and have Efren sign it? Or do you need me to sign them?
I would go ahead and sign it.
We
Okay.
just have to sign one copy, right?
Yeah.
One of each. So four total.
Yep, I'll go ahead and
Keep
sign
this.
those then.
Okay, good.
All right, claims.
We have no encumbrance today. We have two claims. The first claim is for the RBB CSC statement or payment that we just received our presentation for. And the second is for the Kreider and Kreider for the Hart Strait Road project.
Okay, the first one, this is at our, is this, let's see, we had a limit, and then we had a payment based upon, there were two conditions there.
Yeah,
Which one are we doing?
Our total amount under our contract is, it can't exceed 15% of the revenue we're receiving, and that's statutory. And we also put a $270,000 cap on that in the, and I know it's.
This is a 15%.
No, this is the, and the other thing is that when tax bills are paid, some people pay the full year with the first payment. So generally, you'll find that the payment we make in July, August is a little bit larger because of that. This is the remainder of that $270,000.
All right.
If there's no more questions, I move we approve these two claims.
This is the Kreider, and your thing is different, right? Okay. All right, so we have a motion for approval of the claims. Do we have a second? I will second it.
Oh, I thought you did. I'll second it. I thought I heard you say yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, you second this.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I'll start the signature page and it'll come your way.
Okay. All right. So we're going to deal with you under staff comments? Okay.
So I forwarded, after Jeff got the agenda out on Friday, I think it was, I received an amendment to the original contract with WSP Engineering. That's the firm that is the design team, or design firm for the Curry Pike, Smith Pike, Woodyard Road intersection realignment. So we want to move ahead with right-of-way services with them. The amendment was in the amount of $69,115. So I was seeking approval to take that to the commissioners for their approval for next Wednesday, so we can keep that project on timeline.
We have money in the bank.
Pardon me?
And we have money in the bank.
We have money in the bank.
Money in the bank.
That's the important part.
How does this impact our estimate of the cost of the project? Is there-
It's still in line with the estimate of what we had anticipated. Of course, we won't know right-of-way impact until we get the appraisals done. I believe there was 6 parcels on that project. So this will give us to know what the right-of-way is going to cost once we get the appraisals and everything done. But this is the step to do that.
Okay.
What are we doing on timing?
We are still on time. I believe the letting, we have so many projects coming up to letting right now. January, February, I want to say, is the letting for that one. Sample Road is January, and Bicentennial Pathways in there. So I want to say February, I believe.
Okay.
So a year from now?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is about consistent for about a year for right-of-way, so.
Yeah,
Right.
sounds good. So you need a motion?
we need a motion to recommend that this be, contract amendment be signed by the county commissioners.
I so move.
And I'll say second for $69,115, right?
And we badly need that. I have to go through that intersection now to get to the villages for one of my CASA things.
Oh, my God, that's a problem.
I go that way quite a bit too. It's really, the congestion, really, if you go through there around 5 o'clock
See, I'm not even there then.
on Smith Pike, I bet it is at least 20 to 30 cars deep of sitting at that stop sign.
45,
So-
46 is going to be a pain. It's already a pain. I was there this afternoon.
Where at?
At,
By the hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a state project, so.
I know.
Not your problem, right?
That's saying it's not my
Their
problem.
highway and their project.
And Third Street's coming out from downtown had like, I don't know, almost 100 cars going out, and I think they were probably trying to avoid that section because,
I'm sure-
you know,
I'm sure everybody's
not my
trying to
way.
find a
That's not-
detour
I was
route.
delayed, but not that wasn't the primary delay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward to the county commissioners the contract amendment. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Thank you, motion carries. Any other staff comments?
I have a couple.
Sure.
My first, and they're somewhat related, and they're all about scheduling. Our next meeting occurs during spring break, and you are more than welcome to have it then. I will not be here. In addition, I think the commissioners would like to have a meeting time, to meet with you guys at a 4:30 meeting time to kind of just touch base and make sure we're all on the same page and kind of work together. I think a lot of the housing TIF stuff has come to their attention, and I think they really want to delve into that and see what's going on and see what makes sense. Given the a couple things. One is that the next regular meeting you have to have has to be before April 1st, and that's generally a fairly long meeting that we talk about the annual reports and we go through them, and we have invite a lot of different taxing units in to kind of review and look at that. It might be a lot to chew off in one meeting to have both that and the commissioners discussion. We can do that, but I just kind of wanted to make you aware that that's already a long meeting with that review of the annual report. I spoke with the commissioners today, and they are available, I believe, the Wednesday after spring break as well as the following Wednesday. So either one of those two Wednesdays, if there needs to be a different time, we can check on that as well. But I just,
So 1 week would be the 25th,
that sounds correct. Yeah.
and 2 weeks would be after April 1st.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem. I was going to ask, that's a problem, right? Are we supposed to do most of that before?
I think the annual reports need to be done before April 1st.
Right.
So I guess my suggestion is if we want to do both on the 25th, just be prepared for a longer meeting.
What do we do with the commissioners in just a separate meeting to talk with them?
And I think that's something that,
Yeah, what if we did that the 18th, when you won't be here? Well, unless we think we need to get feedback to Garitas, but usually we don't have any. He's been doing it so many years.
Well, I'm not so sure how much we're going to require from him for that meeting. I think it's more strategic and
Oh, you're meeting with the commission?
commissioners,
Yeah,
goal-oriented and that kind of stuff. I'm wondering whether you'd even need to be here for that. I mean, you probably want to know what we're talking about, but
I would really like to be here for that, because I mean, I think that will give a lot of direction on
oh, yeah.
pass forward, and I don't expect to speak a lot at that meeting, but I'd really like to be in the room listening and taking notes and making sure that if,
So we don't have, we have two meetings worth of business to do in one day, and that isn't going to work.
Because if we meet on the 25th, I have to be somewhere by 7:30, so hopefully we'll be done, or can we meet earlier? That might be,
I mean, would it make sense to do the annual report on the 25th and then do a meeting with the commissioners the following week? Is that?
Well, now that's true. The commissioners aren't, we don't have to have them done by, yeah, that probably makes the most sense. We can do them after April 1st. Yeah, why don't we do
We
that?
could do them the following week.
on the 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would do what on the 25th?
25th, we do the annual reports.
Okay, 25th,
25 annual reports.
annual reports. And then what is it?
1,
1st of April?
yeah,
April Fool's Day?
yes.
We would meet with the commissioners. Okay, I can go with that.
I can go with that.
You want to let the other two know, please?
Yeah.
Right away, probably.
And you talked with them and they're okay for that?
Yeah, so those are the 2 dates they told me they'd be available.
Okay, all right, so we will, I need a motion to move the meeting from the 18th to the 25th, and then to schedule a meeting on the 1st.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to move our March 18th meeting to March 25th at the same time, and to hold another meeting on April 1st at 4:30 to meet with the county commissioners. All in favor
Second.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Anything else?
That is what I wanted to accomplish tonight.
I see you got some more.
Any comments from the commissioners?
I saw something about Rockport.
We did, actually, we submitted a project, NDOT opened up a call for projects for fiscal year 2025. So we submitted a bridge project, Rockport Road Bridge, just south of Bowlin Lane.
Yeah.
So we were awarded $1.66 million for the construction of that. But then they also contribute to the 80/20 for the design, the right-of-way utility cost and construction inspection. So they actually fund the whole project 80/20. It's just the award amount is $1.66 million for the construction of the bridge, which also will realign the curve that approaches that bridge.
Good.
That is available to you when?
The construction is fiscal year 2025, which is actually July of 2024. So we just actually put out an RFP to the consultants through NDOT's website to pick a design team and right away. So as long as you can stay ahead of that cycle, if money comes available the year before and you're shovel ready, they might come to you and say, if you're ready, then we can move out the project, which that's kind of our goal to do that process. It kind of helped us with the Sample Road and the Hunters Creek project since they moved those up a couple years, because we felt we can be shovel ready for those too, so.
Have you seen at all what the design is for that Discovery Road and 45, 46 at the hospital?
I have not.
It's going to be what they're going to make it.
I know, but
I have not.
We're going to live
But
with it.
I have
at some
not.
point, they talked about taking it across, and I have not seen anything being done about that, because I go through there fairly frequently, and
I know there's a group out there that's very vocal and trying to work with NDOT, either moving up the project and
there is the...
And I know the
Don't talk
MPO has
very-
supported it and has written letters, and the commissioners have, and I believe the council has. Ambulance Advisory Board did last year. So I know that group is,
But that was mostly for the 10th Street issue.
yes, it was all, it was allotted to with the Pete Ellis and everything for that congested area before the hospital, trying to move it up.
They're really cutting trees down a wall, the historic house.
Oh.
We're cutting down some dead ones that were there.
There's a lot of dead trees in the county, a lot of dead trees that we're having to deal with too.
They were getting maple syrup out of a couple of the trees.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were sit back a little bit this afternoon when I went by. Yeah, it was kind of neat.
Any comments from our guests?
Yes. Of course.
Jeff McKim. Just a couple of quick comments. First of all, I had the opportunity to walk the Wellness Way and Keller Crossing roads the other day, and one of your West Side projects, and that I was astounded at the progress that had been made. Now that, Lisa knows that's not been my favorite project, but it looks like it is just about done. Wellness Way is almost completely done. So Wellness Way, as my understanding, is that
We call it Hard Straight.
that will connect, to connect to Hart
Did they
Strait,
change the name?
and then Keller Crossing will.
We didn't really change the name, we're just giving them road names now. It was the Hart Strait Project, Connector Road.
And now it's
So,
getting Wellness Way, it's being called up to Cook.
No, that's the one to Hart Strait, and so Keller Crossing goes from Wellness Way to Daniels Way, right? Did I get that
Yes.
right?
and that was because basically one of the biggest parcels that we split up there was Keller. And they worked very well with us on the project and working with the contractor of storing dirt and things. So we kind of reached out to them if they had any ideas for that south piece name. So we came up with Keller Crossing. And then again, the Wellness Way will go from Hart Strait to up to the Y.
Up
So,
that way.
yeah.
I do have to say I will be very interested to see how well the drainage works, because that is an incredibly hilly terrain. There's an immense amount of mud, and so yeah, I can't wait to visit right after or during a heavy rainstorm. But congratulations on how far that project has gone. And then I guess my other comment is just I'm really excited to hear that you'll be scheduling a special meeting with the commissioners to talk about housing TIF. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think it's a really interesting tool. I know that this probably wouldn't be appropriate for this meeting with the commissioners, which, as you said, is kind of more strategic. But I know Mr. Garatas does have experience. He may be one of the few in the state who actually has direct experience in working with this new tool. So he can be. I don't remember where, but It might be.
I'm talking with him tomorrow about another thing, so I'll ask him.
Okay. But yeah, he definitely has experience, so we ought to leverage that experience to the degree that we can. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? If not,
If right, get well.
we are adjourned. Thank you all.